Here's Abby, the prototypical approach from standpoint of corridor type map. Corridor, go for it, I guess. This is a map with a clearly dominant corridor. In this setting, I mean, you can make other corridors work, but you don't have the flexibility on the 8-9 line, and you're really exposed in the middle on the other two corridors. So this is the only corridor with realistic ability to cover the middle, return to base, get vision, get cover, has what you need. So we're going to try to, I think I said this in the last video, it would seem like the team that reacts first loses, so which is kind of dumb, but you know, it would seem like a team will overcommit and then will lose because of that. So they're spot in the middle, so we need to make sure we establish a win on this side of the map. You know, they look like they want to come back pretty hard to challenge us here. They must know enough what they're doing because of the way their tanks moved. When they were spotted, they wanted to not be in the middle anymore. So we need to make sure we force a win here if we can. We're going to send one tank. It was just the one who was in the back the most. Back to cover cap. Just in case they come blitzing out of there. So I'm not sure where they dove off to, if they were just diving off for cover, if they're going to be here, and then we get a spot. So we're going to double bush when we shoot these guys, hopefully. This one in cap. Or spawn, I should say. These guys are trying to knock that guy's health down. I think those are pretty safe shots. Like they should be able to poke that corner a little bit and not expose themselves to this because this huge rock is in the way as long as they don't go too far down. And then of course they drop already on us. And somehow I get spotted there. Blocked. I don't know how I got spotted. So how are we going to react to this? That's the question. So we need to stack up there. As long as those guys stay tight to that rock there, they shouldn't really be in danger of getting shot. But really only, I think Bob ends up staying. Oops. Yeah, drop already on him. I think, yeah, Bob stays there. We probably be better off having two tanks stacked there, really punishing them if they try to take that corner. Already kills two of them, so that's going to be a big break for us. We see there's a lone Cromwell here. This is a huge misplay right here. Okay, so pretty obviously we need to protect the dude that's a one-shot, right? And pretty obviously we have a 3-on-1. Even if this is a 2-on-1 and we save a tank, but take a little more hit points from it, then that's okay. And so right here, we don't recognize that we need to get this tank down into the line of fire and this tank out of the line of fire. So I'm thinking, okay, I need to get in there and make it happen, try to protect my teammate. He correctly realizes that there's a one-shot tank to kill. I'm trying to distract him. I end up taking the damage from a ram that I probably should have never taken, and he gets a kill. So this guy gets all kinds of damage on a 3, which ended up being really a 4v1, and gets a gun out. So that takes two things. I'm going to rewind it here so we really learn from this one. This takes a realization of two things. It's going to take, there we go. It's going to take the realization of the guy that's a one-shot. Again, maybe this is my theme for the video. If you're a one-shot, don't die. We got tanks here, man. If you're this tank, we need to get in there so we can protect our tank, because we got guns. So that's what I'm doing, but we just can't get him killed in time. Protect the one-shots, protect the one-shots. So that could have gone better. Again, we killed two tanks with Artie for minimal return. He was going to come help us. Again, it's pretty much not going to be an issue. We've got 3 tanks with a lot of health. You probably don't need to come rolling down the hill there to help us. Now it's the question of, okay, can we stack up on this corner and can we beat this 3485M? He was actually playing really, really well. he was beating us. So I'm thinking, okay, and they were really worried about overexposing because the Type 64 by now is back in the corner in A1, right? We know he's likely to be there and have supporting fire. So if we overextend, we're going to take all kinds of fire. And maybe we just take that chance, but we still don't really know where one of their tanks is, so that makes me nervous. So I'm going to take myself and Cromwell with some health, and we're going to play through the middle and get cross shots on wherever they're at. To try to open up the firing angles. Everybody up there is just chilling for now, trying to track that guy. If we track, that's another good point. If we even outside track him, if we track his outside track where we don't do damage but hold him there, then we can control the engagement. There they are, the tank is spotted. But if we can control that engagement, then we're gonna win it. So right there, I'm a little worried about us losing that. If they start going heavy up that hill, then we don't have enough maybe firepower up there to deal with it. But yeah, track him, get him to burn his repair kit, and then you can overexpose yourself because you won't have to go around the corner quite as far. And here I'm tunnel vision. You don't see this Cromwell right in front of me. Luckily, yeah, that was bad. Luckily he's not able to make me pay too much. And then I exposed myself to that tank too. So the 64 is in a different position than I thought he was going to be in. I've re-angled my tank so I shouldn't take damage from him. He's shooting HE at me. He probably should have shot a regular one because he probably hit a post or something. That allows me to kill him. And you can tell this 64 is good because he blind fires the bush that I want to be in as soon as I go dark. I'm a little bit worried about going out there. I believe he does. Maybe he did already. He blind fired that bush, so yeah, there it is. So, there it is again. He knows he's not a bad player. But now we have a lot more flexibility because we've taken away one of their fire angles. We know the 64 is not likely to be in position to have lots of great firing angles himself. And their Cromwell somewhere down below, probably on the low road. There he is. So we're going to send 2 tanks around to deal with that Cromwell. That 3045 above him, above us, should not get shots here. We'll take him out. And now this full health Cromwell can go ahead and risk some health. Right, I'm a one shot, so I'm not going to. The 64 is going to be out of positions, and then we'll go. That Cromwell with health, all he needs to do is sit there in the open and trade 1-for-1 with that 3045 because he's not going to be in the firing angle of the 64. And as soon as that 3045M turns to shoot him, then easy enough, we can take him on from that angle. So we had a ram and then a kill there. It worked out relatively fluid. Ready. It worked out relatively fluidly. Otherwise, except for when we. So yeah, it worked out relatively fluidly, except for when we let the one-shot tank die, and I think that needs to. That can never go understated enough. A gun in the fight is that's what wins all of these. If you have more guns, then you're going to win a lot of them. So you do have to play differently. Like you can't be the one to take shots when you're low health. And that goes for these games, but it also goes for public battles. I see people get frustrated. They're shot up and the game's not going their way, so they drive out into the open and get shot. Like, why? You have to play differently, maybe in a way that your tank isn't designed for. But nobody's, in the context of the game, nobody's designed to be a one-shot, especially on really low health when like a low caliber HE shell could kill you. Nobody's tank is designed to play that way, but you just have to change what you're doing and you can still be useful and still have good games. Okay, so again, we often will split on this map because I think we can actually create crossfire and we can actually cover each other pretty well. Half the time I like to be really aggressive with spots through here, especially if they're not showing up. I don't think I'm going to get in trouble in this scenario. I think I'm going to get away with it. We're going to get cross-firing going on between our two groups. Actually, both groups are going to have crossfire. So I'm going to try to not get spotted from the ridge again. Kind of take a little bit of an approach where I can get vision out, like on this guy. I should be using this tree for camo. Yep, I was. I should probably go spot him again, because if I just drive out there, probably pop unless he's behind that tree. Yeah, he's behind that tree now. I should have just respotted him because he was so much in the open. And I'm hopefully not going to get spotted. It'll be really hard for them to hit me, at the very least. Most of their tanks look like they're on the opposite flank. So I'm just kind of surfing the ridge here, seeing what I can do, trying not to get spotted by the guy that I know is right below me, right there. So I was not trying to get spotted by him. I should have been a little bit better on there. But if we can spot him, you know, he's going to get annihilated by the rest of my team. Especially the ones from up on the 0 line. You know, he has like no chance. And I'm out of render for, you know, over half their team. So that was another one of my plans at the time, was if I get spotted, I'm just going to drive till I'm out of render. And then we'll just kind of keep trying to make it happen. I don't know if I spotted that guy. No, I didn't get the spotting damage, so no. And so yeah, now we've taken a whole bunch of hit points from them. Now we've taken minimal shots in return. I think I'm the only one that's probably lost much health. I guess our other light tank lost a little bit. So the bulk of our hit points are in our crumbles anyway. So now we're going to feel pretty good about being aggressive. Sometimes teams, when you're doing this, will come back up and backdoor you here. So I'm starting to become a little bit aware that that could happen. And protecting my health a little bit. Yep, there he is. I actually had forgotten that happened, but that's such a commonality. Oh, get lucky. Yep, barely. So now we got a tank. Another one of their tanks out of position. We can counterattack down into their position, and at the same time, as soon as he starts taking damage and looks like he's gonna die, then our north group is gonna go in. Yeah, they're still trying to shoot me from across the way there. So now our north. Yep, right there's a click on the map. Our north group can go in, be aggressive, and I had told the south group, as we're attacking, you're going to take crossfire from across the valley unless you stay low. So we purposefully stayed low because we knew that their light tanks were not in a position to create crossfire unless we were high on the hill. So, you know, we're pretty much in cleanup mode right here, in all honesty. You know, we've got them out positioned. We got early damage on them. One of these tanks, oh yeah, okay. I was gonna say both these tanks should be beat up a little bit. But we don't have to be too careful at this point. You know, as long as we're progressing, got all our tanks, lost some hit points, but it's a pretty convincing win. Pretty good job. Oh, that's disappointing. Should have shot him one more time. Here's the ram, come on. Where's the ram kill? Come on. There it is. Finally. Alright. Classy. So yeah, just to finish the thought there, I think that Westfield game was one with a degree of intention that I think was subtle. You know, creating a crossfire and then making sure you spot things in a safe way that you're preserving your own hit points, so you don't lose hit points unnecessarily. But creating a crossfire and then spotting them intentionally early in tanks that are way faster than them. You know, they were still getting into position when we were spotting them and getting crossfire. So I think that's the theory of how that map was supposed to play out, done pretty well. Alright, so we're going to all head to this. I think this is supposed to be a good clan that we're against. So I figured they would probably all come this way, because that's generally what good clans do. And so I'm going to not spot the backside this time. Any early damage is good. We're going to get some early damage as much as possible. So right there, Brady stays on that ridge for about a shot too long, and he pays with, you know, 2/3 of his hit points. We're mostly, I think... Okay, so now we're trading, right? So we were mostly pretty good. There's a difference between early damage and trading, and it takes a keen eye to figure out when we're not doing early damage and we're just flat out trading anymore. And Brady learned the wrong way. This tank learned the wrong way. This tank, you know, maybe they just got lucky and hit him once or whatever. But you know, you shouldn't take 2 shots of damage when you're doing that, right? Early damage doesn't mean get shot twice. Early damage means take safe early damage. So this is a key play here. I think we're going to get mauled by them in close quarters, and I'm really worried about that. So we're gonna use our superior mobility to reposition, and this could have gone awfully wrong. If they were more aggressive, they would have forced the spots right here. But I think for all they knew, it looked like we were just kind of hunkering down in that bowl. And I don't think this will work every time, but I felt like it was the only way to make it happen. I think only one guy gets spotted here, so we're gonna all tear into the back corner. I'm gonna stay close and spot and try to keep vision out for my team here. And maybe I should use that closer bush. There's a bush down by the water up right there that you can use. It's way less flexible. Like, I can leave this, you know, we've got all our tanks stacked up here, and I said get on the red line when they come in, and they're blind firing like crazy here. And so it's amazing that we don't take more damage. So we're going to use the hard cover. I'm about getting worried that I'm going to be pegged apart blindly here. And so the counter to this, right? So the counter, they're blind firing. So the counter to this play is for them to get into here. So we need to counter that counter by getting tanks with vision into here. And so that's what I'm sending 2 Cromwells to counter their counter. The way you beat this camp, again, is you go under the bridge, you drive through the water onto the other side of the tracks, and you use that divot to work out vision, and then you can use the superior fire angle. So they were exactly doing what I was worried about, and our counter to that spots them. And so now we've recreated a crossfire here. So they don't really want to push down the 0 line, and it looks like they've abandoned that as a strategy. They're also kind of pinned down, because if they start to drive up the hill, they're going to be spotted by us. So the Poodle in the open here, we need to get shots on him. Unfortunately, I didn't get him spotted, I think, till late. And then the Cromwell too. You know, the guys in the far back, I think, actually can't really get firing angles on that Poodle. But these guys, we should be able to shoot this Cromwell until right about there, so we're going to lose firing angles on him there. They're split enough, and we're split too, but we're split really unevenly. As soon as I run out of shots here, we kind of need to start making something happen. And you know, our crossfire is obviously getting a very effective fire there. So we're actually going to, before they can get into us and spot us, we're going to get below their gun line, and we're going to attack out with all of our tanks down the 0 line. And we still got all our tanks here. So this is a great job of getting a tank with health out front. I've got enough health, I can take 1 or 2 if I need to. Gotta be careful not to get drown ourselves there. We should have guys coming from behind. Again, setting up the next shot here. I knew that I didn't really need to stop and shoot that guy. I had 3 guys coming behind me. And now our flank is protected, so now we're just going to get stacked up here. We're getting side shots into them. I don't really need to go over. I saw this guy as a 1-shot, and I really wanted to kill him. But we're going to get it right into him here. So, pretty clean win. It all hinged on us getting out of there. I don't expect that to work every time unless we're really ready to move. You know, we used our tanks to their strength to avoid their tank's strength of armor. And so, autoloader here. Can't kill us. I think we're gonna ram kill him also. The uphill ram is not working. And he's given up. There it is. So, but apart from that, it was really cleanly executed. I thought we did a good job. We did exactly kind of how I thought we needed to make that happen in order to win it. It was really, really, really fluid. So I thought that was maybe my favorite win from this session. yeah, thinking about that might not only be my favorite Strongholds win from this session, that might be my favorite Strongholds win ever. That was pretty epic. Like we executed things really well, and it was high risk, high reward. If we would have got caught driving away, we would have been screwed. But everything just kind of lined up, and the theory behind the movements was pretty, I think, sound, and the execution of it all was great. We pincered them and disallowed them from coming up their ramp and trapped them down there. It was pretty epic, and then counterattacked again. That was a good win. Alright, so on this map, I'm going to actually really quick again pause this because there's a really key moment here that I want the guys in my clan to see when you're driving light tanks, and I need to see the theory of this. So what do we know? We know they're in tanks with no mobility, right? We know that they're probably going to camp one line. Our usual play on this is to attack one line with vision and to hang the cromwells back. If we figure out that they are out of position, we're going to attack down one line and win it, and then we're going to have map control for the whole map. If it becomes a distance shootout, we're going to use our superior vision and movement to figure out ways for a distance shootout to win. So they're immobile, and they have no vision, and they have no speed. So when I'm approaching this, I know that, and so if I don't see them early, I know that I can be really deep with my vision. And so right here, you can see what I do. So when I was hitting that bush, I was prepared to take this vision really deep, and even into this next bush. That was my goal. I was going to go into that bush if I didn't feel like they were right in my grill. If they were in my grill, I was just going to dip back around. This is bad if they're right here, and if I'm wrong, that's bad. But this is clearly all of their team, right? They're going to have all of their tanks there. We're going to counterattack one line just to be sure, because we'll have a 3 versus 6 with me crossfiring 7. We'll have a significant overmatch if they do have tanks stacked back there. But this is huge, so I need to try to figure out what they're doing and keep them spotted. Yeah, I'm in the bush that I wanted to be in. When we run out of vision there, or when I run out of vision, I should say, I'm realizing that, if they go and sit on that hill, it could potentially be an issue for us. And so there we are. We won the corner. I waited for them just for a second to win the quarter. I should have probably just flat out turned around and drove into this. But I'm thinking, okay, I need to get somewhere before they spot me, and then just be a passive scout for the rest of the game. So we'll find a nice little parking spot here. And now, no matter where they go, they're going to get spotted. If they try to cross over the hill this way, I'll see them. If they try to leave the hill, I'll see them. And so now we can take our tanks and sit out of their view range in the middle of the map, which is absurd, and we can just annihilate them. There's no way they could do anything. So, I'm not saying like this is my greatest play of all time or anything like that, and this is certainly not a good plan. If you're going to go up on the hill there, that in Strongholds, you don't know what you're doing. That's a bad play. They realize it now when they're getting shredded and they can't see anything. We did send one tank to go sit on cap, just to kind of make them think, maybe we shouldn't have done it. Maybe we should have just sat there and shot them the whole time. They probably would have spotted 0 of us the entire game. That would have been cool. But at this point, it kind of doesn't matter. We've got so much of a hit point advantage that we can kind of get in their grill now. So we're repositioning Cromwells. We're going to get under them. I'm going to just start getting a little impatient there as well. I could have easily held my fire. I know where they're at. I can use cover. It's not going to be an issue. We've got Cromwells shooting them from every angle. But anyway, what I'm saying, this was not a good clan. This is a game we should win most of the time. And I'm not saying that my plays won this game at all. What I'm saying is that especially when you're the lone light tank, you have to be able to make really quick decisions on where you need to put your tank to accomplish what we need to accomplish, right? I have 2300 spotting and I've hit 3 shots. It doesn't matter if I hit any shots at all. If I assist my team on the win because they don't know where my stealth little tank is, because I made a split-second decision that was ultimately the correct decision, and didn't die, You know, no, another thing you notice is I don't die very often when I'm the lone light tank, which, you know, again, I'm not saying I'm the best light tank in driving the world, but it's so important to preserve your health and not to die. You can't lose a tank when you're the single. So we're going to shove him off for good measure here. This is pretty hilarious. I got pretty good air there. So that was like, you know, that was a win that we were going to win, even if they would have done a lot of other things, I think. But that's what I'll say about that one. Is it's an example of how you can take light tank gameplay, and you know, obviously my light tank is really good, like as far as crew skills and stuff, and the tank itself is maybe broken. I don't know. It's probably better than all the other 2.6 light tanks, just from a statistics standpoint in a lot of ways. But you know, there's just like, I always say it, you know, that the lone light tank, I just can't tell you what to do. Like it's so heavily variable, and it's so much depends on how the rest of things is happening around you. But if you can make most of the time correct decisions and not lose very much hit points, that's like in that scenario, you're gonna like automatically win your team the game. So it turned out well. Alright, here's Live Oaks again, also against a very good opponent, which, you know, if we win half of the time we play these guys, we're basically playing outside of our skill level. If we win, you know, I'd expect to win like a fifth or less against these guys and teams that are really, really good, just because that's where we're at and that's where they're at, you know, relative to each other. So anytime you can beat these guys is good. I believe we lose this one, but again, this is a determination. I feel like I can't split our tanks because they're really good. You know, we need all of our guns in the same place, because even with an overmatch, they might outplay us. So we're going to set ourselves up for early damage. Seems like we're not catching it. I'm going to go make sure that I look the other way. We're ready to go in if we need to. It's nice not to have to commit. If we can make them commit into the water there, sometimes it goes easier. This is hard to know how hard to press back this way. Like, if they're a good clan, they should be somewhere reasonable and attacking us. That's what typically happens. Yeah, so there you go, across the way. These guys are not camping. Good clans don't camp. I'm hopefully going to grab some support for my Cromwells. You know, perhaps we should have played it differently in that, you know, so to trade a tank for a tank, we're okay. We're not out of this by any means, and that's exactly what I said here. Is like, we got all our health. Each team has lost a tank. It's even still, but we do need to reestablish vision in the middle, and they, I'm sure, are doing the same thing. And also we need to establish different firing angles. A9 is really powerful if they're coming down the A line, but it also gets crossfire in different regards. So this hill is super powerful. He's going to try to sneak shots here as much as possible. He definitely has some advantage because of the hill and the way that he can just expose his turret and hang behind these tanks until they start to kind of poke out. But again, that's why we have tanks in A9. You know, super powerful against the city push as long as you're spread out and have different angles. So he's absorbing HE shells mostly with his gun until that one finally penned, and then we get one of the guys in the south repositioned to get another crossfire shot. Tree down. He saw that at the time. You know there's a tank there. If he overcommits to spot him, he's going to die to crossfire. We notice there, it's a little odd that he hasn't poked. I think he's worried about the same thing. He knows where we're at and we know where he's at. He's going to sit there and play that angle and not be spotted as much as possible. If we go to proxy spot, we're probably in trouble. You know, we could have probably done a couple things here. We probably could have tried to get into the city. Again, our teams right now are not that different. We've got a really low health light tank, you know, so we have a gun advantage. Their light tanks are out. And our Cromwells have most of their hit points still, if not all of them actually. I don't know if anybody lost health. Not really. So we're okay here. How do we play this? Lots of different ways. We got flanked. We need to kill those 2 tanks. You know, we're actually gonna have to sacrifice our 64 here. We need to make sure that we're not getting shot from crossfire on this ridge, from the Pudel. But we absolutely need to kill these guys, and we have to be careful not to expose ourselves to crossfire as we go kill them. So you'll see these guys are also, you know, how can you tell people are good? Right here, we're exposing ourselves to crossfire and driving into it. I'm telling him to grab cover. He's backing himself off of crossfire and dragging us into crossfire, right? Just like our Cromwell did. I don't know if that's Bob or whatever comment. Just like our Cromwell did. He backed off to allow these tanks to come after him, so we could jump them. Their player is doing the same thing. He's backing himself down, and we're getting ourselves caught out in the open to crossfire. So they're good. They realize that we left, and they have to kill the lone tank. You know, it puts him in a crossfire as well. But when you have a lone tank, you have to kill it, right? Like, especially a one-on-one, you should win. He should win that one-on-one, but he should also win that. He'll win that one-on-one regardless, but he'll win it also because he has health, more health than him, and more armor, right? So he was going to win that fight, and again, I said it. I knew it was going to happen because they're good. I knew he was going to die to that poodle. We knew the tree was down. We knew he was going to be right there, but we had to kill those 2 tanks while we had an overmatch. Again, going back to the whole game theory of all of this is that whenever you can create an overmatch in any way possible, you can. Whether it's you take early damage is creating an overmatch. If you have more hit points to spare because they got shot up on their way, then that's an advantage. So we're gonna try to encircle them here. I think I was not super clear with how we were gonna do this. Oh yeah, it was. That's right. We're gonna cap them. We're gonna cap them and distract. Like, they've got a long way to come back, and I would expect them to be setting up to kind of attack us down the other line. So they got 1 on cap. They were ready for it. 2 are out. So as long as we can kind of keep in their face here, we're gonna be just fine. Right? These guys are not in danger of getting shot from the guy that's capping. And we've got 2 tanks here. I think I meant to do this differently than it happened. I don't actually recall. It works out great, you know, but I think I meant to have 2 tanks cap and 1 go out, but it works fine either way. And 3 go out and 2 cap, but it works fine either way. So, you know, again, a really close battle. That actually was a good win too. I take that back. I don't know if that other game was my favorite run. This one might be right up there too. Again, because we're going up against a good clan, and our movements were really fluid, and the theory behind why we did them and the assumptions we made were correct. That doesn't always happen. And the assumptions that, not only that, you know, they made correct assumptions the whole while as well. I'd say their misplay was when they tried to flank us with just 2 tanks. I don't know that they thought we would be responsive enough. I think they thought we were too much in A9 and not spread out as we were along the south there. I think that's their failed assumption. They thought we were too far to the north, and there was going to be hard to dig us out without flanking. So, you know, that's their. I think I would call that their mistake. Our mistake was probably not returning back to the middle. If I could have got into that middle position a little earlier, I think it would have been a little easier on us. But everything after that was pretty fluid. You know, we exposed ourselves just a little much under that bridge. You know, but again, we had to kill that 3485 there. Like, you know, him living is just not an option. We had to kill him. You know, but yeah, that was a good clan. They made good plays. We made good plays. We won. That was a good one. Alright, so here we are rolling out on the same map. We're going to kind of take a similar approach and hustle ourselves into a decent position, get early damage when we can, and then react to everything thereafter. You know, again, it depends on the map, but that is generally what I think you should try to do. Get to a good position, we're faster, get early damage. Early damage is always important, and then react, because that's also what our tanks are good at. So I don't know if I should have gone in here. I don't remember if I said that we are gonna regardless go in, but I think it's partially because of the nature of their tanks, right? So I'm trying to avoid a ram there. So he crushed me. Partially because of the nature of their tanks, right? They're going to be split based on just the speed of deployment. So if their fast tanks are here, their slower tanks, 30-45 Ms, are going to be a little behind them. So we can jump in on them, eliminate a gun or two before they're here. Now, they weren't all here. That's maybe lucky for us. I don't know. Like, maybe they would have won that. But here's that same thing. We have momentum. We have to kill this guy. The way to do this, it depends on where they're at. We don't want to expose ourselves too much to crossfire. I'm worried now about them capping, so we're going to go back to cap and reset. And we can always jump back and kill that crown wall if we need to, but we can't lose the cap here because we're pretty separated. Again, it's our strength to use our mobility here. Take back what I said about having to kill that guy, I guess. I do think we should probably have tried to kill him. Maybe just sent one tank over and then poke the rest on the ridge so we don't overcommit. But we also, like I said, we can't lose the cap here. I was really super nervous about it. Nobody should split their tanks that heavily and then not know what to do with it, right? Like, they should have absolutely been in our flank immediately. And I don't know if it's just a mobility thing and those tanks aren't mobile enough and ours are or whatever, but as soon as they're 64 committed and all of our tanks were there, they should have been pushing the opposite way immediately. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, let's push the opposite way since they're not going to do it. That was a bad play. Actually, I should have stayed in the bowl until I was unspotted. I probably should have taken one in the back there. I should have waited. That was a bad play. Alright, so we're going to try to push out, reestablish vision. There's different ways you can do this. This middle position right here is really, really powerful. If we can get vision into there, it'll allow us to move swiftly through the city or wherever else we need to go. If we all go and get caught out here, then that's bad. And I think Brad A checked it and wasn't spotted and kind of drove around and he didn't spot anything, so I think we're feeling good about this approach. And I also, obviously in the last one, because I wanted to make one more loop just to make sure the 30-45 Ms weren't chasing us. You know, my gun over on the other flank wasn't like direly necessary. Now it is. We're like recommitting, right? So if they're chasing us in a big circle, we'll go on cap. If we find them, we'll kill them. I'm going to try to get into a position here. I'm expecting them to be on that hill where I just clicked. That would be their strongest play. And so I don't want to go without my team. If all of us bum rush into there, I feel pretty good about it. Yeah, exactly, so there they are. If we can get there as much as we can through the cover of the buildings and relatively undetected, I like it. So now we're going to see if we can focus fire or not. And we could have done this from a distance, I suppose, too. We could have posted guys up in different areas. That was, I don't know who that could be. That was a pretty good shot. But now, yeah, again, so we have momentum. Now we just need to roll. Focus, low health. We're going to lose some tanks here. Oh, hopefully I'm going to protect my health a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So we're behind low health tank. They're also focusing really well. You know, I'm going to set up not only my next shot, but I'm setting myself up into... I thought I was trying to set myself up into cover behind that building. I was trying to set myself up. I thought I was going to get there. We're okay now. We've got 3 really healthy tanks. We're going to be able to take this guy out. Again, here, this is something that I feel like we do a little too much. We drive around. We're not setting up a shot. In fact, we're driving away from this tank, right? We're almost putting ourselves, if he goes down the slope, in a position to not kill him. And we're also not ready to move on to our next target. So I feel like we're getting ourselves in a little bit of a bad position there. And now too, we're also, you know, this is also part of it. Like, you know, if you go farther under the gun as you close, it's going to make him expose more than just his turret. He has to expose his hull to shoot you, and now you can actually have a half a chance of hitting him on the move. So we're going to attack up over the top here. We've got plenty of hit points at this point. But yeah, that's the thoughts. You know, set yourself up, set your tank up for a position where you can possibly get onto the next target and or evade fire. You know, I was trying to do that with that building. I was very intentionally driving to where I was driving and keeping my tank ready to go to the next target, but also looking to evade fire. You know, otherwise, you know, again, good movement. We probably could have played that safer and shot them from a distance. We could have reestablished vision through the middle with a tank or two from the one side and kept everybody else on the other side. You know, that little bridge that we initially had that engagement of, a tank there or two is going to have all kinds of crossfire if we start spotting out. So we probably got maybe a little reckless or whatever, but it's good to be able to finish games by just flat out focusing fire when you've already created your overmatch, right? We've already created our win multiple times because we attacked hard into that 64 and the Cromwell. And if they all would have been there, I think we still would have been fine because we would have had 2 kills and then we just would have had to focus fire the same way we did at the end. So, you know, create that overmatch. And you know, again, I feel like that's mostly the job of the person trying to help coordinate movements, or the caller, as we say. The caller is the caller's responsibility is to try to identify and create overmatches for your team, and then at some point you're going to have to play, and hopefully you can outplay them when you need to, but identify and create overmatches. Okay, so this is a game that I've not, this is the one I was thinking of that I really wanted to see, because um, we made a play in here based on something that I thought I saw, thought I saw I could give us an overmatch with, and it didn't work out. So I'm going to learn what happens here too. I'm going to understand why my assumption was incorrect, because I'm pretty sure we lose this. So again, north is really strong. We're going to take the north. This is such a big map. It's got to be careful not to get caught out and out of position. So I'm going to take the middle just to get some vision. Pop the binocs. We're good. Our guys will not get crossfired upon as we're getting into position. And then I spot the Excelsior. Okay, so here, this is interesting, right? So what are they doing? Right here, I would say that, or the Excelsior, Excalibur, whatever that thing is. It looks like they're doing something that makes sense, right? So they're doing some kind of camping. Their Excalibur's up top, their 64's in the middle, and we've got a whole bunch of tanks going up to the north still that'll be unspotted, I would expect. So I can account for 2 of their tanks. I'm going to actually try to distance a little bit. And then right here, so now we see a load of tanks show up. And it's only a relative load, though, because 2 of their tanks we know aren't there. So we right now have an overmatch, right? We have a 6-on-5. Okay? So, and now their Cromwell spotted in the middle, right? So now we have a 6-on-4. That's something we have to win, right? 6-on-4 means we win that now. So I'm saying all in, win the 6-on-4. That's our overmatch. Let's go. I feel like my job here is to do one of a couple things. Get my tank in a position to be able to help with it, obviously. They shouldn't need my help. Moreover, I need to take these guys' guns out. This Cromwell and this 64, they need to be thinking about me and not supporting their team so our overmatch can win. You can see the Cromwell right now, he's down below cover. I don't know what their 64 is doing. Their Excalibur is not in the fight at all, right? And so I'm still not sure. We're talking about seconds here, but we really should have probably already been able to get most of our way into winning this. You know, I was told that they're getting crossfired upon by the 64 and the Cromwell as they're doing this. I'm not entirely sure. So the Cromwell's just now shooting, right? He has no way to get crossfire into this mess. We've killed 1 and we've lost 1. So we're even for them, and we're about to lose another tank somehow on a 4 versus 6. Okay, their 64 is moving. Their Cromwell just now is poked up to try to be able to support. Okay, their 64 is continuing to shoot me. Okay, now they're winning a 4 versus 6. They've got 3 tanks out, we've got 2 tanks out. I'll admit I don't know exactly how it happened over there. I wasn't obviously not there. I don't know how much effective fire. Obviously, their Excalibur shouldn't be getting any unless he's somehow quickly repositioned. But we should have had the jump on them. And then I don't know. I think what happened is we didn't go in actually. Like you can tell where the tanks died. They died on this. If they were getting shot from across the way, the easy answer to that is to go in and mix it up. And that also does a couple things. You know, you could see on the minimap when it was happening, there was a tank or two up here. We needed to go down into the depression here. I think that's what happened. So even now, we're not in terrible position. We have a 4-on-2 right now. We can win a 4-on-2. Unfortunately, I think though we don't have enough hit points to get through this without losing 2 more tanks. You know, this Brett Panther really needs to die. Their VK is doing a good job of focus fire as well. So they focus fire, and then now is when we start to get shot from the side. So, yeah, he was kind of looking at me there, so I was using the tank. So I think the Excalibur now is just finally back. Yeah, so he's now just finally back into the action. But again, we can mitigate all of this. We can mitigate all of this death right up here by playing them down in the divot. If we all get in that divot with them, we kill a tank and we create an even bigger overmatch, because there's probably, it looks like there's 2 tanks there, and I think the Brett Panther was over in this region and the VK probably was too. Right, so I think the theory here was correct. I think we had to take a 6-on-4, and the problem is we didn't win a 6-on-4. So if you have an overmatch and don't win it, you know, you're probably not going to win the game. Like, and then he's going to kill himself apparently. It's probably too far gone. This guy's completely full health. But, you know, that's how I see it. You got to be able to win a 6-on-4 or you lose. You got to win a 6-on-4. Alright, so we learned something. Now let's get on to the next game. This is another map. I'm not sure how this is going to play out in terms of like meta. You know, there's some maps where Strongholds teams mostly do the same thing, and it doesn't matter which objective. This is a tricky one. I'm in favor of, I think, playing the south part of this map. I've been able to do this in fast scout tanks and pup battles. Get into these bushes and these buildings here and control vision. You know, I probably need to take a better angle. I'm gonna call that a mistake. I don't like my angle at all. But if you can pop into these bushes, you're gonna control a lot of vision. The problem is like if they don't want to be spotted, they're just gonna sit in these bushes right over here and not be spotted. We're gonna send a south tank, light tank to the north as well. If he's honestly quite isolated, but he's gonna have really good vision dominance over that. Our Cromwells, you know, we're gonna push our Cromwells because we're making an assumption. I don't know if the assumption is correct. It might not be. That Cromwell could be functioning as a scout over there. I don't think that they're gonna send a Cromwell when they have a Type 64 to scout an area by himself. I think he's with at least one other tank. Maybe they're in the buildings or whatever. So we're gonna take that and we're gonna attack with the Cromwells. We're gonna take that as a likely we have some kind of an angle on them, some kind of an overmatch somewhere that we can win elsewhere, and grab the flank here. So perfect. Find their 64. Our Cromwells hopefully can get here and get some shots into him. I'm being very careful to use this building as cover. I just took a shot. I'm not sure who it was from. There you go, 3045M. So this is also a very important moment, right? Here we are again talking about overmatches, right? We might get sniped from a tank that we don't know where they're at, but we have 2 of their tanks that can't shoot on us, and 6 of us here. So this is an overmatch. We have to win this immediately before their other tanks can get in. So we're all in right here. This is the let's get all our tanks in and focus. So we're focusing the Cromwell first. We're all setting up our next shots. These guys need to be in. They're getting in. Again, I don't love driving in circles when our next target's going to be here anyway, right? So, you know, getting your tank ready to move and also using cover. I'm ready to move to the next shot, and I'm also using cover as we secure a kill there. You could have argued that I could have moved on, but in this case I shouldn't have, because I would have been isolated against a line of fire that they could bear against me. And also I'm in a light tank. I'm an effective 2-shot, right? And all these tanks are not 2-shots. So we need to continue to win this. We're calling targets. We're getting right in the mix. Ultimately, pretty good job of focus fire, absolutely. They're capping. We see that our other light tank's been kind of skirting them. I'm not too worried about cap. They don't have enough tanks to really take advantage of it. I'm a little worried about me dying in the open here. I'm wondering if I need to reset, so I grab the reset or the arty or whatever. But then I think, nah, we got plenty of time. Those tanks, right? Again, assumptions are everything. I'm assuming my 2 tanks there are going to take him out, and I don't know where the other one is, so there is a wild card in this. But then he's on cap, so then I feel really good about it. I know that those 2 tanks are going to win a 2-on-1, and then we'll have plenty of time to reset because this map's too hard to cap. You have to have like complete dominance of this map to cap it. So I'm just going to pop up here. I'm going to wait for a second for full aim, make sure I get a reset. Okay, and by the time they're able to do anything about it, I'll be dark and shoot them again, or our other tanks will be closing. So again, recognition, it was based on an assumption initially, it really was. That Cromwell probably isn't alone on the hill, right? That makes no sense. If that was a 64 on the hill, I don't think I would have made the assumption that he probably had friends. I would have thought maybe they have friends, maybe he's the lone scout. I don't know, but a Cromwell on that hill alone doesn't make sense to me to really be alone. I would thought it was very likely that he had friends over there, and we need to win the opposite flank. And then when it showed up that they had 2 tanks spotted over there, again, at the very worst, and they actually had 3. At the very worst, we have a 1 tank, probably a 2 tank advantage. We need to win immediately where we can. So we're going to push in and win. We're going to sacrifice hit points to take guns out as fast as possible. So, win the overmatch like that. Even though it was a little ugly and it got a little hairy there for a second. Gotta win that overmatch. Alright, Corellia. Again, maybe we didn't play this one yet this session. I don't know. Anyway, we like to be aggressive on the kind of northwest side of this map. We're going to have a type workout in front. I'm going to work out vision as well. And then we're going to use our Cromwell's mobility. I want to find hard cover here. I didn't expect him to be that aggressive, but he's basically doing what I'm doing. Now, am I making a bad assumption here? Maybe we are making a bad assumption. If he's there, he's probably not alone. They're probably not playing the 0 line. My assumption is that most teams like to play the 0 line. So I think we make a bad assumption here. We see their Cromwell and we think, oh great, a single Cromwell, but that's not really going to be a single Cromwell. They're working to establish vision through the mid, and they've got a whole bunch of dudes on the ridge. So now we're in trouble. And again, admittedly, I don't know exactly how this is playing out on the other side, but I think he's to some degree behind a rock, and we're having a hard time finding angles on him. We're exposing ourselves to fire from the hill way too much. Not that it's exactly anybody's fault, because that was what we were trying to accomplish there. We were trying to get that Cromwell out. I thought they were going to be a little more split than they were. I thought they were going to be taking positions in the hill. So faulty assumption, and we're getting shredded by dudes just sniping into us. I think we shouldn't have tried to kill the Cromwell. I think we should have bailed on that and reestablished and tried to turn it into a vision game. We've been doing really well with focus fire and knocking tanks down in that way that I felt pretty comfortable. I was going to try to widen the angle here. Did not anticipate getting spotted, obviously. I wouldn't have done this. Again, then just tuck into hard cover. They can shoot HE at this rock all they want. That was a regular shell though, I guess. But now again, should I get out or should I try to move? Try to shoot. So this forces my hand. If there's a tank to shoot, I have to shoot him. Even though, again, I see that 64 creeping up. Maybe I should have been a little more aggressive at trying to shoot him. But I'm trying really, really hard to save my teammate here. Yeah, you can see I'm aware of him. I'm auto aiming because I'm trying to look at both. Not always the best thing to do there, but I saved a gun. Tree down. I know he's coming for me. I probably should have poked already, because now I'm proxied and dead. And, you know, he was probably telling his team, I'm going to go, be ready to shoot right at this rock. You know, when I poked that, I should have done it right after. I should have poked that right after the 3485 died, because I saw the tree down. But yeah, so there you go. That's what happens. Faulty assumption, and maybe a little too used to just kind of pushing in and getting our way and focusing fire. You know, we put ourselves in the line of fire of a bunch of camping tanks, and it did not work. Okay, so this should be the last game on a night where we did really well. The last few games we struggled a little more than we had most of the night. We won 19 games, we lost 4, we tied 1, which we should have won, but I guess whatever. That was a hilarious Ram moment, so it was probably worth it. Yeah, we're gonna take a really powerful position on a map where is a really powerful position. I always like to have at least one light tank swing down to see if they're doing something crazy like that. So this is crazy, right? So again, what's the assumptions? How do I read the map right now? I read the map as they're doing something stupid. If they're split at all, we need to kill whatever's right here because that guy won't be able to support them. And we also need to be ready for camp. We also need to be ready for them to be like running across the middle with their light tanks or something like that. So we're gonna complete our thought, and we're gonna make sure that if they do send somebody here, we're gonna win it. And then I also know that you can often get shots on this ridge right where that front Cromwell is. If you can spot this 3045M, you can get shots right here. So Brad A's working back to the middle to see what the hell's going on. Right there is what I was hoping to get shots on him. It looks like he tucked behind the rock, just a little bit more down towards the other angle. So that's fine. We've got nothing here. This has become a camp takedown. We probably should have protected Cap just a little better. From where we're at, we're definitely going to be able to get back into it. But we're going to redeploy to take positions along the ridge to shoot across the canyon and take them out from a distance. The light tanks will work vision. I'm feeling mostly comfortable. I'm always keeping it in mind. Okay, do I need to duck behind this rock to get cover? You know, their light tanks could be down here, and they probably should be. Yep, there we go. There's one. So that's a little insane that he didn't spot me back. So I thought I was spotted for sure, so I kept driving. So I'm just going to tuck into here. That was a bad shot. I should not have done that. I know why I did. Like, I thought that we weren't going to get that kill, and I wanted to make sure we got that kill before he got up there. You know, getting a kill is worth taking a shot in return. Luckily, I didn't take damage, but you know, I knew I was going to get spotted when I shot that, and I anticipated that I could duck behind cover further. And I also thought kill securing was really important in that scenario. Alright, so I'm going to work vision through the middle. Our Cromwells are getting up into that corner. I'm going to have them check for the 64 first. I said, just in case, if he was going there, let's make sure we kill the 64 if he's up there. So they're taking the kind of farthest path, not because I'm worried about getting spotted, but because I'm a little worried about a sneaky light tank up there. This is probably not a great position that I just took. I think I should be more in the bushes, but I felt like I wasn't getting spotted. You know, half of this is testing if you get spotted, and if you don't get spotted, yeah, see, I was getting a little too confident in my vision. If you're not getting spotted, then you can obviously stay and kind of keep pushing. I turned my tank around backwards so I could leave quickly. You know, all very intentional. Maybe careless. I mean, it was certainly intentional the way that I approached that, but maybe I should have slowed down. But you know, eventually you got to start spotting these guys. Maybe I should have tried for different bushes, whatever. I'm really trying to get into one of these forward bushes is what I'm doing. You know, again, right there I set myself up to leave if I was spotted. I wasn't spotted, I'll back up and get into this bush, set up my binocs. You know, I was anticipating getting spotted and having to drive down the hill. There you go, I can spot that guy with my binoculars. This 3045M, he's completely out of position. We can essentially ignore him because he's not going to be able to do anything. Our light tank's poking him. a little bit to freeze him. If he dies, though, we are able to now move through the middle a little differently. Braddock can take his position and look for different spotting angles. You know, we can play their side of the ridge now without taking any return fire. Tank in D1 is in a really great position. There should probably be a tank in C2 as well, because that would be shooting the Thunderbolt right now if there was a tank in C2. So trying to close vision, trying to keep multiple angles of fire. I'm pretty sure that there's still the light tank up across in that bush that hopefully everybody knows about. I'm not spotted there, that's good. I've got enough cover where I can move across the valley like this. I mean, fire support. I mean, my Cromwells can quickly engage anybody that would try to rush me from that angle and from that angle. I'm going to get spotted when I do this, right? So I have to anticipate getting spotted from some angle. I should have been anticipating that angle. Again, I'm using the depression of the hill to stay out of line of sight or line of fire. And then, you know, they're going to be back in that position, so we need to get our Cromwells moving in. We've got enough of a hit point advantage now where we can just go bully them. That was pretty lucky. Now we definitely have hit points to just roll with it. The guys by the Thunderbolt will go around and just kill him. We're using the cover from the rock a little bit. They'll go kill the 64 next. Meanwhile, us other Cromwells will move in. Shoot on the move. Now that I'm spotted, I'm going to attack these guys in front of me. This is an awesome job by this Cromwell, just going and mixing it up. You know, I'm probably being a little too wimpy and not supporting him. We probably could have gone into together better there. Again, I had full health. This other guy had full health. Oh yeah, that's right. So we're gonna ramp kill him. We need to get a running start at it. He didn't have enough speed, so he went around the hill to stay out of his line of fire, so he could come back in with enough speed. That's pretty classic. Anyway, you know, again, a really good night. 19 wins, 4 losses, 1 draw. That was really a win that we just dinked around on too much. Good things, bad things from this night. I think, I guess I pointed out a few times where I still feel like we could do better to set up our next shot. I think there was some games in the session that I think we've never looked better. We played and beat good teams with like on the fly, fluid, really super fluid movements, things like that. I think we can be a little more aware of how to take natural cover as we're approaching things and attacking things like that depression on Matterham line. You know, if we get into that depression, basically we even force a larger overmatch than we even had. And part of it that I see us doing is when we're on a corner ready to commit, we're not sure if our team's going to go with us. We play it like a pub game where, oh, let's poke this, and maybe then my teammate will run out in front, because that's just natural. That's just what you do, and I'm not like faulting anybody for that. But like, it's just that realization and remembering that our team is going to go with you. If you go in first, your team better go with you, and you know, so we can do a little better at that when we need to like commit to actually committing. And I guess what goes along with that is, you know, when it's time to commit like that, when it's time to absolutely no questions asked win an overmatch, because that's the only way to win, is recognize overmatches and do it, or you know, create overmatches in other ways, whether it's be a focus fire, whether it's mobility, whether it's early damage. you know, all of these games come down to the same thing, where if you can't just like flat out outplay somebody because you're a better player than them and you understand the game better, and you know, you could do that just with your own vision and your own skills and seeing what you need, where you need to put your tank. You know, that's great, and that's not really what this tank lineup is set up to do. This tank lineup is set up to create overmatches so that we win as a team a lot more fluidly. You know, early damage, early spots, early vision, vision control, map control, and then just the chaos all in, where we've have an overmatch because, you know, that's how the tanks line up. They sent 3 to one side, we sent 1. You know, so we have a 6-on-4 or a 6-on-5 or whatever. Anytime there's a tank disadvantage overmatch in tank numbers, you have to be able to win that and win it quickly so you can get back to whatever else you need to do. You know, and that's the same thing as in pub games too, but you know, you just can't really ever count on your team to help you win it. You can see that all you want, say, oh my gosh, we have to win this 6-on-2 immediately. And you know, and that's great if you have hit points and realize it and your team goes with you. If you don't have hit points and the full health heavy next to you is just kind of tinkering around waiting for Artie to blast him on the corner instead of killing the you know, taking a hit so that you win the 6-on-2 and have a chance to win the game, you know, there's not much you can do. So that's the advantage of playing these tanks, playing them like this, is to be able to create those overmatches together and do it together, and you know, trust that your team's right there on your back, taking hits when they need to. You know, it sucks to be the guy that gets focused down by them, because that happens sometimes. If you're the first one in, that's what happens. I don't think it really happened tonight, where I was part of the push and took a shot right away in the face. You know, in a lot of ways I try not to do that, because though it's required of us light tanks to do that in various situations, it's just a disadvantage because we can't take as many hits. So you know, we're taking a gun out of the fight quicker if we're the first ones in. You know, when I played Cromwell's, and even in this tank sometimes, I don't care if I'm the first one in. It's not a big deal if I get all shot up on the way in, as long as we accomplish our goal and we get in. I don't get too worried about dying if we're accomplishing our goal. So, you know, it takes that kind of selflessness to get through some of these. But anyway, I rambled on there a lot about other stuff. The main point of this is that this was a really good session. We did a lot of things really well. Our movements were really fluid when they in a lot of these games, and fluid movements, working as a team together really helped. Now, we played some teams at some point that in this video that we were going to, in the session, that we were going to win anyway, because they just weren't that good. But even then, even when we're playing those teams, we still made really congruent, fluid movements, and we did things really well. So that'll be it for now.